Hello, hello. This is Yuri with Moving Sales Professionals and Let's Talk Moving podcast. And with me today, I have Tim Wicker, the Vice President of Republic Moving and Storage, a 30 plus year old company out of San Diego, California. With over 13 years in the moving industry, I got Tim with me. How you doing today, Tim?
Doing fantastic. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you very much for joining me. Obviously 13 years in the industry. What have you been doing?
Oh gosh, you name it. I actually came in completely unrelated to the moving industry. I actually was just looking for a career change and ended up operationally just kind of in there helping out as a clerk. Quickly kind of picked up the name of the game. Operations is just nonstop action. Moved through dispatch, eventually became operations manager, wore a sales hat for a little bit, sales management, and then kind of combining those two led me to where I'm at today as vice president.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a business that we're in where we have to wear, in a lot of cases, a lot of different hats, and it's definitely not for somebody faint of heart or somebody that can't quickly adjust to the situation at hand when it presents itself. You never know what you're gonna walk into any specific morning. And you got to
Oh,
be ready for it, and you got to take it as it comes. You can't stress out over it because if you do, you're going to have a lot of issues because this is potentially a daily thing that happens. So you need to be able to adjust and you need to be quick on your toes.
yeah, I think adjustment, as you said, is pretty much hits the nail on the head. A lot of times you kind of have to laugh to keep from crying. You can do all the planning in the world, right? You can be logistically sound and have everything mapped out. But if cannot adjust, like you said, you're going to be out of luck because it's constantly changing, an ever shifting groundwork that you have to keep your footing on. And if you don't, you're going to fall flat on your face. And even when you are ready to shift and move, you're still going to fall flat on your face. It's how you get back up and continue to move forward. And most importantly, take responsibility because, none of us are perfect. And I think that's what separates good from great is being able to acknowledge when you have taken a misstep and do everything you can to right that wrong.
And now for a word from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com today to learn more. Right. And you got, like I said, you got to be ready to take those steps because it's going to happen and it's going to happen often and it's going to happen consistent. Whether it's the crews that don't show up on time or misquoting of a job, God forbid, that's my side of things. We try to keep as far away from misquoting as we possibly can, but ultimately, things happen. We're all live people in this business. What I've learned over the past 20 years is that it's just like I said, you just gotta adjust and you gotta move on and keep on going because
Yeah.
otherwise and you can't take it too close. You can't take it personal. It just is what it is.
Yep. And there hasn't ever been a shipper in the history of the moving industry that hasn't shared everything, right?
Hmm.
There's always going to be something new, no matter how
Yep.
thorough they are. So being able to, not only adjust, but adjust with the customer's mindset, in the back of your head. Because it's one thing to show up, see a house that's maybe twice as big as you anticipated, and then go,
Hmm.
it's going to be more money. And then it freaks them out. One, is everything even going to go? And two,
Right.
how do you approach that, especially if you're doing a local move and it's an hourly rate?
Hmm.
It's probably not ideal right up front to go, well, this is going to be 5 more hours. It's like, get going. Let them see you're actually doing the work, that you're actually putting in the effort. And then you can then approach it. Hey, listen,
Right. Well,
here's an additional
right.
room. You can see we're working pretty consistently, pretty well. If you really want to get that wasn't on the estimate, it's going to be roughly this, so on and so forth.
Right. So that would be one thing. The other thing, frankly, this happens all the time. And what happens with us from sales side is that we usually get a phone call from the customer who's telling them the mover just told me that this is going to be this much more, or that much more. And it's exactly what you're talking about, where they just got there, they saw this huge house and they freaked out. And of course, the foreman is supposed to tell the customer when they think it's going to be more. So now they're freaking out because even though they haven't looked at the notes most of the time,
Right.
they just looked at the thing and they think everything is going and then whatever, right? And maybe something in notes that says customer knows there's a lot of stuff. Customer didn't have time to go through the inventory. Customer will pay whatever. Even the notes may literally say that. So at that
Right.
point, there's no need to freak the customer out. You just work.
Exactly.
You just work. And if and if it's getting to a point where it's not all fitting into one truck that you were going to bring, at that point, you reach out to the office. At that point, the office reaches out back to the customer and says, hey, as you can see, the truck is almost full and there's still all this other stuff. What are we doing here?
Right. And you just said it actually. Calling the office and then the office can reach out. And that's
Hmm.
something that we really want to make sure that
Yes.
we encourage with the guys, right? Make us, and I don't want to say the bad guy, but make us the bearer of news, whether it is good or bad, right? We
Right.
have the skill set here
To
with the
present it
soft
the right way.
skills, yes, and communication to implement
Hmm.
that. And you guys out there, not that you're not able, but be on their side, do the work, bust your butt and say, okay, it looks like there might be, I'm going to go ahead and call the office. And that way there isn't this, animosity or misunderstood, interaction
Right.
between the crew that's out there busting their butt. Cause at the end of the day, they're the ones who are making the world spin in terms of the moving itself.
Does your company need more creative marketing and ad campaigns to improve traffic and organic leads? Well, Moving Sales Professionals has a solution for you. We have partnered with social media marketing agency that has over 300 million views on their ads and videos across social media, and they have generated over $35 million for their clients over the last 10 years alone. Their services include content creation, social media ads, pay-per-click campaigns, website and funnel development, Google Ads, email marketing campaigns, lead generation, and much, much more. For limited time only, they have discounted rates for their services. Sign up for a free consultation call with us via our Calendly link on our website or below this video. Right. And then one of the other problems that also happens on the day of the move is that the movers sometimes you get movers that show up, they see so much more stuff and they start giving the customer attitude because it's so much more work for them.
Right.
Meanwhile, there might be other reasons for things, or maybe it's just an older couple and they really didn't realize how much they had and whatever. And like, look, in my experience, I tell people all the time, people always have more boxes than they think they do, especially when they haven't started packing.
Like you said in the beginning, I've been in the industry for over a decade. I've, worn a lot of hats. I've even gone out on the moving trucks.
Hmm.
And as much knowledge as I have, when I move, right, I'm still finding stuff, right? It's
Hmm.
just human nature. So you kind of have to anticipate that aspect.
Right. And you got to take off a grain of salt and, you got to understand that and you got to be sympathetic to people because ultimately, yeah, they're going to pay more money, but it is what it is. And sometimes you got to bring them full circle to that whole thing. It's like, look, this is what you have. This is reality. This is not us trying to bleed you dry. That's just what you have. There's not much we can do
Exactly.
about this. And what you told us, well, you thought you had 50 boxes. You have 250 boxes. You told me I suggested putting 100. My usual thing with boxes, especially because most people don't know, I always tell them, look, industry wide, usually it's about 10 to 15 boxes per 1,000 pounds worth of furniture. So if I just did an inventory and you have 10,000 pounds, you have at least 100 boxes, probably
Yeah.
150, and maybe even more than that. Especially
Yeah.
if you want us to do the full packing for you. We're gonna don't know when we're finished. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and you're gonna have to pay for it. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And if that's not what you want, then okay, you can do your own boxes and we'll just do the furniture.
Yeah.
But
And I
then
think
you're
that
gonna have but then
speaks
you're gonna have to deal with boxes.
exactly. And I think that speaks a lot to the importance of communication leading up to the move and customer service. Because I can't tell
Right.
you how many times, I've heard from other companies or other situations where, a move gets booked and maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's a month away, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then there's maybe one check in a few weeks out. Hey, just reminder, here's your
Hmm.
date, collecting
Hmm.
payment, the whole nine. And then you get out there and, the shipper who said that they were going to pack everything has, like you said,
Hmm.
100 boxes to pack.
Hmm.
So that goes back to the, here at Republic, anyways, we'll do a 5 day check, a 3 day check, and then a 3 day check.
Hmm.
Just checking in, right?
Hmm.
Not only to ensure nothing has changed, but to make sure that, you know, the customer remembers. Can't tell you how many times it's, oh my gosh, that's tomorrow. Great. Uh, I'm glad you called because no, I've only packed about half of what I anticipated. Okay. Do you think you're going to get done? Should we add boxes? So then we can capture the potential need to spend the money up front. Or even if they say, hey, no, I'm going to finish tonight, then at least operationally, we know, hey guys, this shipper has 50 plus boxes. They think they're going to finish tonight. Be prepared, have extra boxes, have that mental wherewithal to know what you're getting into. Because then,
Right.
even if we do have to go above and beyond and take those extra steps, they're ready. It's not that mental, slap in the face that, when you walk into the house and, oh my gosh, there's way more than I anticipated.
Right. That's one thing. The other thing too is that look, smaller outfits don't have as many people like everything falls on the sales department, but at the end of the day, the sales department needs to book jobs. So, and especially when things are busy, we don't have time for that week out check-in, 2 days check-in. We need to focus on the booking. That's our main job. So like honestly, if you're a smaller outfit, sometimes you as the owner needs to help your sales department, needs to help your moving team on the day of the move. Make that extra call. It's going to take you 2 seconds. And I understand that sometimes you're in a truck, sometimes either that or coordinate with your sales team and send them a message. Hey, we have a busy weekend coming up. It's Wednesday. Can you call all the moves for this weekend and just confirm their inventories? You gotta sometimes send that out too, because as a sales team, we're focused on the things. So in a lot of cases, we don't go back to check what the updated stuff is. It's not because we're not we don't want to be involved, but it's because there's a lot of other things that are happening and we're focusing on future jobs or current jobs that we're trying to book. And sometimes communication with your sales department or your operations team or your dispatch team is important too, to make sure that these things don't happen, that the things are not slipping through the cracks. Because sometimes maybe those morning jobs are so much bigger now that the afternoon jobs need to be pushed back even more, or maybe even rescheduled. Who knows?
Exactly. That's well said too, because the sales team should be focusing on future sales, right? If 20% of their time is dealing with the repercussions of changes and dealing with the
Hmm.
customer when there's issues, that's 20% less time going after leads
Yeah.
that could generate future revenue, which is more business, which feeds operations and customer service and all these other
Right.
departments that you're talking about. So the more you can limit that aspect, the better you're off. And that goes back to, getting in front of the salesperson. Customer service should handle all of the above in communication, unless there's a change with the price. Then
Right.
sure, get them involved.
Yes.
Operationally, don't pick up the phone and call the salesperson and say, hey, you mentioned this note and we're kind of, wondering why you put that. If you can get it done, just get it done. Only call them if the price is being affected. And on
Right.
the salesperson side, right? Be robust with your notes, right?
Right.
Put
And
all of
that's
that
that
information up front.
sometimes, right. But sometimes with notes thing too is like different companies realistically, because of course we deal with multiple companies, have
Absolutely.
different note requirement. Some are real sticklers, other are not so. And certain things that they want you to put in notes as a salesperson, they're not sales notes. They're operations and dispatch notes that we shouldn't be focusing on. And realistically, if we quoted a job for a certain amount of time, right? And you think that it's too much or whatever, reach out to us and ask. Maybe there's a good reason why we put that. And some of those things may or may not be in the notes. But if you look at the job
Right.
and just based on your overview of it, let's say inventory, whatever, you're thinking, why is he sending 4 people, 5 people to this job and there's nothing? Sometimes it helps double check with us.
Definitely.
Double check with us. If there's something that seems odd to you, double check with us because you know what? I've been on the phone with 3, 4 people, even sometimes at the same time, where I'm going on hold, on hold, on hold. I'm going back and forth between all 4 of them, and I end up booking all 4 of them. I've done that before. And if
Wow.
you're doing that type of thing, sometimes certain things slip through the
Oh,
cracks in terms of notes. And it's not because we're not trying to give you all the information that you need. It's because we're trying to get through everything. One of the things I absolutely love about Ring Central right now is that Ring Central has the AI that actually summarizes the conversation that you're having. So instead of putting all those notes in, now not every Ring Central will have that, and not all softwares will allow you to copy and paste or whatever, so it doesn't necessarily work all the time. But since that thing started happening, like I love it because it saves me so much time because I can just copy and paste. And generally,
absolutely.
the editing that I have to do on that is minimal. It's less editing that I would have to spend trying to remember everything that the person said from scratch. So it
Oh,
saves me
absolutely.
so much time because I can just take it out of Ring Central, copy it into my notes and then it summarizes the whole conversation, everything that was discussed pretty much, or at least it hits on main points, which is like that saves me so much time. And if I'm talking to four people at the same time, I got one, two, three, four. I got four different notes that I could put in for everyone. That is great if that works out that way. But
And it's
yeah,
capturing
sometimes,
what you need per customer,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That synopsis, right? Those names.
right,
So that way you're not only not missing a note, you might take a note for the wrong individual, right?
right,
And I think to your point with the notes, I think in the same way operationally this is relevant is that quantity isn't always as relevant as quality,
right,
right? Because you can put all the notes. One of my things that drives me crazy is when you read notes and it's just, you know, shipper is an early riser. They have a couch that was given to them by their grandmother. They bup, 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 bup. Okay. Is there something that's not going to fit down the stairs? That's important, right?
right.
Is there a safe that's 500 pounds? Great. Give me what's
Right.
necessary
If it's a
for the
couch that's
guys.
their family heirloom and they need to be super careful and just pack it up extremely nicely or whatever, so that customers are like, oh, like all happy about whatever you did. Oh, you take care of my precious thing, right? And that's one thing. The other thing too is like, and I say this a million times, don't assume and don't be afraid to quote high. Because you do not know what a person has. I go back to one move that I talk about all the time with my trainers and my trainees, right? Is that I had a move that was going to somewhere like North Dakota or South Dakota, one or Montana, one of those states that you get very rarely
Mhm.
get something going to, right? And it was a studio, tiny apartment,
Oh,
probably
okay.
1,500 pounds, 2,000 pounds, maybe at the most, tiny, right? It was like a $5,000-6,000 move. No problem. You know why? Because the girl had a $10,000 couch in her apartment. So
Whoa.
don't assume if somebody
That's a
has that
great
type
point.
of thing, paying $5,000 is nothing because they
Yeah.
know they're not going to be able to sell that couch. And they know that they're not going to be able to buy a new one for the same amount of money or less than what they're going to sell this for. So,
Yeah.
like for them to move, just like even if the rest of the stuff wasn't going, it was just the $10,000 couch. Moving it for $5,000 makes sense.
Yeah. It's like you said, sell the service, right? Don't sell the price. There's going to be plenty of prices. There's a lot of bad actors out there, a lot of rogue movers and unlicensed movers. If you
Yeah,
are good at what you do, go in there and sell that. Explain what the guys are going to do, not just here's how much weight it is, which costs this much money. It's okay. This is how we're going to wrap and protect these goods. Right now, I know you think you're going to be able to do all the packing here, but let me explain not only how quickly we can do it, but how we're going to do it to protect your goods better, right? It's not about just making sure that it's packed, it's making sure that it's packed correctly. How are we going to get this down the steps? Let me show you. Our guys actually have a special method, right? There's all of these different techniques and moving, a lot of people these days they kind of equate it to, jumping online and buying goods when it's a service, right? It's an actual trade. There's an art to it when you really know the ins and outs. So sell that, right? Sell the beauty of what these guys really do if they're professional movers.
right, right. And that's very important because you do want to make sure you get it right, especially, you know, the funny part that I find all the time is that people tend to argue more over $20 than a couple $1,000. Like I've had moves where, like long distance moves, where I get the breakdown back and I'm looking at it, and the move went from, let's say the original inventory was like 50 pieces. And now you have to go, instead of 50 pieces, now they have 300 pieces. And I'm looking at, I'm like, crap, I got two of them side by side. The one that I actually did as an inventory when I was booking it, and the one that's from the actual move. I got them side by side. I'm preparing for war. Right? I'm preparing
Yeah.
for war. I know it's going to be a mess. So I call him like, okay, so you had more than what we talked about. In fact, you went, and I'm just saying this for, for comparison's sake.
Sure.
You and I did an inventory that was 50 pounds. You actually have 300 based on what the guy saw. So I know it's no where I don't know where the other 250 pieces came from, but you have a lot more stuff. So clearly your price is going to be more. So now instead of having, I don't know, 3,000, 5,000 pounds, you have 15,000 pounds. And I'm ready that I'm about to get my head taken off for this. And the person goes, yeah, I have a lot of stuff. And I'm going, okay.
All right.
So here's the price. This is what you're gonna pay me now. Okay. Which card did you want? And it's literally that simple. Over somebody saying, what? $20 to wrap a sofa?
How dare you?
Yeah. And it's
How
like
dare you
it's
protect my things?
right. And it's the difference. Like in one case, you're talking like anywhere from three to $5,000, $6,000 more versus $20. And the six
Yeah.
thousand, I'm like, oh, I had, so oh, I knew I had a lot of stuff. But then you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's all relative to that customer too.
yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of people 6,000, it's a drop in the hat, and other people, I mean, $20 makes the difference. They might be moving because of hardship. They not might not want to be moving. Now they're having to fork out more money
but yeah, but
in a
sometimes
situation
it's
where they're
even a
already.
situation where you're looking. When you're doing an original booking, you're looking on Zillow or Redfin. Sometimes that stuff helps to see where they're moving out of. And you see that they sold that home for a couple of $1 million. And you're like,
Yeah,
and then they're arguing with you over $200. And you're like, holy shit, you just made $1 million because you bought this house for under 1 million and you sold it for over two.
there
You just
certainly is a
made a million
correlation.
dollars on your house and you're arguing with me over $200?
Yeah.
You made a
The
million.
more money they have, oftentimes the more frugal they are.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and you're
that
not
happens
wrong.
too. That happens too.
It's silly. And and
Now,
and there's you got to choose your battles, right? I mean, there's something to be said about standing your ground, and making sure if you provided the service, that you are, accommodated for that.
oh,
Having
oh, true.
said that,
Hmm.
there's a give and a take, right? If it's going to be the difference of a good review or, future business, those $20, $100 here and there go a long way,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I had a guy that we booked that I specifically told him this was regular delivery, long distance move going to Florida, regular delivery. And he was looking for every excuse he could take. We told him the delivery will be there sometime between Tuesday and Friday. And then he goes, Friday? My poor mother is 80 years old. She's going to be there without her furniture and this and that and the next. And you're like, it's like, we're not there yet. Relax, breathe out.
This is the spread we gave
And,
you.
and, and, and we got it there Wednesday.
Uh,
And now he couldn't call and ask for another discount because he just got like he couldn't even like he probably went, damn it. I could so see the
Yeah.
guy go and do it because and you could hear it, you could almost hear the disappointment in his voice when I called him and said, hey, they're gonna be there Wednesday. You could almost hear the disappointment.
We had a guy that called and was furious and kept, I want to talk to your manager. I want to talk to your manager. And I ended up on the call. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he says, I was told the crew would be here between 8:30 and 9:30. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Someone's late. What happened? Was there a blowout? Like,
Uh-huh.
so on and so forth in my head. And he goes, and they showed up at 8 a.m. And I'm like, wait a minute.
I've had those. Yeah, yeah. They're early and they're upset.
Yeah, and it wasn't
What?
like they showed up at
Movers are
6
early
a.m.
and you're
and woke
upset?
them up. Yeah, are you kidding me? 8 a.m. And I was like, you know what? So did they come and barge in? He's like, no, they just started getting the truck ready and prepping. I'm like, so they didn't even knock on the door until 8:30? The things and lengths people will go to sometimes are just ridiculous.
I run into that all the time, and you're like, oh my God, why are you guys doing this? Okay, they came early, great. What are you complaining about?
Yeah,
You're gonna get to go and go on with your day sooner than you thought you would.
right,
What's so bad
right.
about it?
They're here to, do a tough job.
Right.
Sorry they're early. But
That's
hey, you
that.
got to hear them out too.
Yeah,
As much
yeah,
as I'd love to rub their face in that, and make all the jokes, we're just joking. It's,
yeah,
well, apologies, well,
yeah.
what do you
So
need?
sorry. Is
How did
there's
that affect the move itself? Oh, it didn't?
right?
Okay, so what are we talking about here?
Yeah. What is it that I can do for you, or what is it that you need? Is there something else
Yes.
you want them to go and bring you coffee?
Yeah.
I would almost go that way because that would probably get a chuckle, and even the most a-hole of customers would probably melt on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Killing them with kindness.
Yeah.
It's easy to kind of mirror the the big emotions that get thrown at you when someone's upset. And to be fair, moving is stressful. They have a lot of anxiety built up, a lot of,
Right.
preconceived notions in their head. Plus, they're inviting people into their house. Not everyone is as open and welcoming as others, and it's all their goods, right?
Right.
That are getting touched and moved and shifted, and you're out of control,
Right.
right? And I don't mean like out of control chaos, but just you are not, as a shipper, in control of the move itself.
Right.
And so
It's
letting go of control, having people in your home, it is a lot, to be fair.
right. And sometimes you hope that people do have a sense of humor, and sometimes it's a good thing to make a joke. One of my favorite stories a long time was I used to do fundraising for nonprofits, as you probably quite a few of you've heard the story before. But we were doing fundraising for the Howard Dean campaign. This is how far back this is going, right? And I'm talking to this lady. She's probably in her 80s. And I'm down to asking her to do a monthly gift for Howard Dean, right? And when I'm down to like $10 a month, and I'm going, ma'am, you probably spend more than that on your dog food or cat food in a week. Yes, but my dog cuddles with me. Well, ma'am, if I could send a few good Democrats over your house right now, I'd do it. Now you're talking. At that point, we're both laughing. And she's like, you're a good salesman. I'll do it. So
Oh, that's
sometimes
funny.
it's just honestly, sometimes it's just playing by the moment, and sometimes it's just being a human being, and sometimes it is about a joke.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not
Eh,
everyone has a sense of humor, so sometimes it could
Too
go the
true.
opposite direction, and you hope it's gonna go. But in that particular case, I did well. But regardless,
Yeah.
it's just something that you do that's maybe out of character or out of their expectation that may actually give you something positive in the direction of that you're trying to go.
Right. And sometimes you just have to lay it out. You know, I need them to be here tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So you live in Florida, right? And I just told you that the truck is en route in Arizona. Well,
Mhm.
you need to figure out how to get here. Okay. I sympathize and I would love to do that, but just unfortunately, due to the laws of physics, we can't do that. Well, can you get it on another truck? Okay. So again, think about that. If we have to, one, find another truck, good luck. Say we had it just sitting there, same city. The effort to transload into another truck and then still get it to
Which would
you. I
add
mean,
time
it,
to the whole process.
exactly. And now, if this is just a complaint to complaint to complaint to get to an ask, let's just get to the ask, right?
Right.
It's going to be late. What can you do for me? Well, let's talk about that. We're certainly more than willing to acknowledge, the misstep. So
Right.
let's make it right. But if we're just going in circles about how
Right.
it's
Because
not
at the
there and
end of
how
the
it
day,
needs
it's
to
not
be,
being flown, so it's not going to get there that way. They have to follow DOT regulations for how many hours the truck is on the road. We can't go around
bingo.
that. We can't go around traffic. We can't go around tolls. We can't go around driver sleep. Because then, if the driver is not sleeping and not following regulations, the chance that they're going to be pulled over by DOT or potentially, God forbid, crash, something like that, are going to be going through the roof. And that's your stuff and your entire life on that truck. Do you really want them to take that risk?
Exactly. We're
You almost want
Republic
to go
moving and
that route.
storage.
Yeah, so we can't do that. We're not quite the technique is not AI is great, but we're not to that extent yet.
Yes,
And
not yet.
right, and that the other part too is that I've said this before. I've had people tell me multiple times. I've heard this where somebody tells me, "Well, I think two people can move my three-bedroom townhouse in 3 hours," and I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
Do you know Superman? Can I
So
have
let's
his
make a
number?
bet.
Can I
Yeah.
have his number?" Maybe
If
I
you have
can
those
hire him to
people,
go and move you.
seriously. And if you're that good of a salesperson, ma'am, why don't you come and work for us?
Or maybe you're that good of a mover, man. Maybe I need to hire you and said fire all my
Right.
guys if you're
Exactly.
that good. And and especially it's funny because I live in a three-bedroom townhouse. So when you hear something like that, it's hilarious.
And especially if you've been there a long time. I
Mm.
mean, you have your classic
People
hoarders. We've all run into those
accumulate
situations.
things. We're not even talking about hoarders. We're talking about just people like we just accumulate things. People buy stuff.
100%.
And
Yep.
they usually accumulate more than they purge. We throw things out, sure, but we
Always.
definitely get more than what we throw out.
Oh, exactly. The only reason you're throwing stuff out is because you got more stuff and you have nowhere else to put it.
Or the stuff we're throwing out is just completely destroyed. And you have to
Sure.
throw it out at that point,
Yes.
right? Most of us, we're like, okay, well, it's already there. Yeah, it's a little scratched up. Yeah, it's a little banged up, but it's there. And, if I throw it away, then I'm going to have to buy something else and I'm going to have to spend more money. I'll just leave it there. So it's scratched.
Yes.
I'll
Let
throw
me
it out
ask
next
you a
time I move.
question.
Yeah.
So, from the sales perspective side, what how do you approach a residence that is, and when I say dirty, I don't mean, clothes and stuff strewn about, but like
Okay. Bed
actually
bugs.
disgusting, right? Yeah, I mean, bed bugs you can't, right? But there's like
Honestly,
cat, because when when we get there, right, we'll deal with stuff to a certain level. But once you cross a
walk
certain
away.
extent, it's like you have to exactly walk
No,
away.
walk
So
away. I
how
mean,
do you do that
I'll be
from a
the first.
sales
I've actually
perspective?
been in that. I've been in that position before. I've been in the position where we've had moves where people have like pets or whatever, and it's just like feces and all sorts of things on the
Right.
whatever. No, at that point, you just call them and you say, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. The crew will be leaving shortly. You have you have unsanitary environment." And we simply cannot put our movers in the situation to potentially get sick. So, what we can do is we will transfer your deposits to whenever you do clean up, and we can come back. Or if you like, I can go ahead and refund your deposit right now because we
Right.
cannot
You're
move
not
you
holding them
under the
hostage.
yeah, you're not it's at that point it's just not worth it. It's honestly it's better to, at that point it's probably better to walk away because the chance is that the guys are probably going to be weary and they're probably not going to want to go back to that place, especially, and you know how things go. They're going to tell the other guys, and before you know it your whole company knows about this one location and none of them are probably going to want to go back. So that's just how
You're
it's
not
gonna go.
wrong.
They talk to each other. So they're
Yeah,
not, if they
and
know that there was this situation, they're not gonna want to come again. It doesn't matter how much cleaning that person does.
yes. And if it's that bad in the first place, the
Yeah.
likelihood of them actually cleaning is pretty
Well, the
pretty
likelihood,
low.
especially if this is a last minute situation, they've already been
True.
told this.
Right.
If this is a last minute situation, somebody was already there. Somebody already canceled. Somebody already told them that they can't move them because of the same exact situation. Now they're trying to see if somebody else would come and do the same thing. And frankly, there are companies out there that they would leave and they would keep their deposit too.
Yes.
So,
I,
and they're not wrong, by the way. They're not wrong because they have to send the guys out. And, like, how are we, like, we don't know that there's dirt and whatever. They just tell us what items are there. They don't tell us about the cleanliness or whatever. And frankly, if that's how they used to living, you got to understand that different people have different level of cleanliness and what they considered acceptable. Right. So for you and me, it may be completely disgusting. And if I saw that, I would walk right out. For somebody else, that's normal. So like,
right.
so they may not consider that and like, oh, I don't know what these movers, what their
Yeah,
problem
what's the
is.
big
Everything's
deal?
fine. What's the big deal? I live here all the time, and okay, that's great, but you don't want to lose your guys because of somebody that considers feces on the ground as an okay situation. But we can talk about stuff like this over and over and over again. Tim, once again, thank you very much for joining me. Like I always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you for
Hey,
joining me, and we'll talk again soon.